This time, it's a story about an unfaithful wife who greeted the protagonist on his way home from work in a completely different appearance. And the other man who made the unfaithful wife look like that. The protagonist launches a thorough psychological damage attack on them. Take your time and enjoy. When I got home, there was a naked man and woman I didn't know, so I panicked and kicked them out. In my panic, I threw their clothes outside too, but that's okay, right? That's way too scary. You mean they broke in? Were they really people you didn't know? Now that you mention it, the woman kind of looked like my unfaithful wife, and the man kind of looked like my senior colleague at the company. The police just came, so I'll report back when I get home. This is an interesting start. The next day. Sorry for suddenly coming in, writing something incomplete yesterday. I panicked and posted it. I was waiting for you. So what was it in the end? The two naked people were my unfaithful wife and my senior colleague at the company, or rather, the other man she was cheating with. I barged in on them when they were vigorously thrusting their hips, and oh, I was so sorry. For now, give us all the details. Got it. So, should I start by writing down the details? I'm a 25-year-old company employee, my unfaithful wife is the same age as me. And the other man she was cheating with is our senior employee who's 27 years old. Yesterday, I wasn't feeling well, so I was supposed to work overtime, but I cut it short and went home early. Then, my senior's car was parked in my parking space, so I parked at a nearby convenience store and went home. I had a bad feeling, so I entered my house without making any footsteps. And I heard sounds coming from the bedroom that clearly indicated a man and woman were having sex. So when I forcefully opened the bedroom door, the woman screamed, "Eek! Well, why are you here? Read the room." The man said, still naked, and grabbed me. So, I was pushed back to the entrance by the man, and when I saw an opening, I pulled the man's arm and threw him out of the entrance. Then, I locked the door once and wrapped the woman, who was desperately screaming, "It's not what it looks like. I was just assaulted," in a sheet. Then, while saying, "Are you okay? I'll call the police, so wait here." I carried her like a princess, took her outside the entrance, locked the door, and called the police. Well, this man and woman turned out to be my unfaithful wife and the other man she was cheating with. You were in a panic and didn't know who they were, right? I like the Princess Carrie. By the way, it's the dead of winter here, but is it a tropical country where you are? No, it's a normal winter here too, and it's just about to start snowing or not. So, the police arrived at the scene where the two people were banging on the door and screaming, and they were taken away. And I was also taken to the police station for questioning. So, I told them straight up that when I got home, there were people I didn't know having sex in the bedroom, and when I panicked, the man grabbed me. And I was pushed all the way to the entrance, so I got scared and somehow managed to kick them out, including the woman who was with him. Then, to my surprise, the police officer said, "The woman says she's your wife." What? But if she's my wife, does that mean that man is me? Because a wife wouldn't have sex with anyone other than her husband, right? What? So you mean it was rape? When I answered in a confused state, the police officer gave a wry smile with an awkward look. And I was sent home yesterday. Man, I was really surprised. Anyway, that day, my unfaithful wife's parents came to pick her up and took her to their house. And the other man she was cheating with was detained for a day or something. I don't know if it counts as a public indecency crime or not. I'm not really sure about that. I also have various things to do, so I'll come back and report when there are more developments. I'm too excited. Was the other man she was cheating with arrested? Or just detained? If he went outside naked, it seems like he would be charged with public indecency or something, but I wonder what happened. 1 week later. I'm back. Anyway, I've started moving towards divorce, and there have been various developments that I can't write about in detail. So I'm here to give a brief report. The other man she was cheating with probably wasn't arrested, right? At least, he came to work 2 days later. My unfaithful wife took a leave of absence from the company starting the next day, citing poor health, and came with her parents on the weekend. Regarding the other man she was cheating with, he grabbed me once at the company. But he immediately noticed the eyes around us and smoothed it over appropriately, and whispered in my ear like a villain. You better remember this. So, I asked him back in a pretty loud voice, "What? What am I supposed to remember? Are you talking about being naked at my house? Or straddling my wife and thrusting your hips?" At my words, the people in the department were startled and looked at us. "Well, what are you talking about, man? You've been watching too much porn," he said, trying to cover it up with an unreasonable excuse. So I felt sorry for him and let it go at that. And on the weekend, my unfaithful wife's parents came to my house looking furious and confronted me. As for my unfaithful wife, she had a tragic heroine-like expression on her face, with her mother-in-law's arm around her shoulder. By the way, my parents were also present. I heard about this from my daughter, but what's going on? She said that when she was drinking with a friend at home, you came home, tore off her clothes, and locked her out. You! Why did you do such a thing? What? Is that what she said? Who else would say such a thing? This is clearly domestic violence. You're getting a divorce. And we'll be claiming compensation, so be prepared. Oh, then I'll claim compensation too. Well, what are you talking about? Have you finally lost your mind? No, my mind is perfectly fine, and her story is completely wrong from beginning to end. That woman was having sex with a senior colleague from the company in our bedroom. She was spreading her legs and moaning as the senior colleague was thrusting into her. You bastard! How dare you say such nonsense at a time like this? Can't you at least apologize? Whether it's nonsense or not, please take a look at this. Saying that, I projected the video I had set up in advance onto the home theater screen. Of course, the sound was perfect too. Don't tell me. That's right, as you probably imagined, it's a porn-like sex scene between my unfaithful wife and the other man she was cheating with. And it's carefully filmed from an angle that clearly shows the part where their bodies are joined, so you can tell it was meticulously shot. Actually, after I kicked out my unfaithful wife and the other man she was cheating with, I noticed something shocking set up in the bedroom. It was a video camera placed on a sturdy tripod. When I checked the footage, it had captured the sex scene between my unfaithful wife and the other man she was cheating with. A sex tape, huh? What a noble hobby. At this point, I often hear about people feeling sick after witnessing their wife having sex with the other man, but I didn't feel that way at all. I mean, the content was way too much like a porn video. The guy's verbal abuse makes me feel like I'm going crazy with vicarious shame. And my unfaithful wife's reactions to it also make me feel like I'm going crazy with vicarious shame. My wife's parents were looking at the video and my unfaithful wife's face alternately, with an incredible expression. My unfaithful wife was stunned, but when she came to her senses, she stood in front of the screen and said, "Stop it. This is fabricated. Stop it." And her parents also told me to stop the video, but just then, the two people in the video were getting really excited. And it was the problematic scene. Ah! This is it. This is it. This is the scene where I come home. As I said that, in the video, I opened the bedroom door, my unfaithful wife screamed. The other man she was cheating with grabbed me while completely naked, and they flowed out of the room. Wow! So you were having this kind of sex before I got home, huh, honey? I'm impressed. And to say such things even on the marital bed. What was it again? I want your big dick, was it? The part where the other man says, "I taught you how to beg for it," is really tough. Stop. I was just told to say that. Please, just stop now. I get it. But you think having sex is the same as drinking, right? Because that's what you told your parents, right? That's not true, I'm sorry. I didn't want them to know I was assaulted. What? You were assaulted. But if you were taught how to beg for it, then this wasn't the first time, right? Does that mean you were being forced to have sex under threat? Let's report it. Definitely. No, that's not it. It's not right, but I don't want to make a big deal out of it. But when you are being treated so roughly, we can't stay silent either. At this point, my mother comes in with a nice assist. My mother is right. This is clearly a crime. Right? Your daughter was being forced to have sex with a senior colleague at the company. We should tell the police, right? Okay, I get it, so please stop the video and sound. My unfaithful wife and her parents begged me to stop the video, clearly expressing their discomfort at my repeated use of the word sex. By the way, the real video ended with me stopping it after throwing my unfaithful wife out the front door, but after that, I edited it so that the sex scene would loop, and after the scene where I stopped it, my unfaithful wife's moans and the other man's verbal abuse echoed endlessly in the room. What are you doing? And your mom, don't assist him. I'm laughing so hard my stomach hurts. You were smirking while repeating sex, and now you've even tampered with the video. This guy, he's good. Well, I had a day off, so I thought I might as well. By the way, I made sure to keep the original video. I don't want to be accused of tampering with evidence. So, in the end, is this an affair? Or is it rape? It's an affair. Since when? Around right after we got married. The other man kept saying he had always liked me, and he continued to seduce me. So, he taught you how to beg for it? I can't handle a woman who's been trained by another man, so let's divorce. Oh, and don't contact him, okay? Though I guess you'll probably contact him anyway. I absolutely won't contact him or see him anymore, and I'll quit my job and find a new one, so please. I don't want a divorce. No way. A woman who has sex with another man and even begs for it in the bed she shares with her husband? No way. So-lutely no way. Don't say that. That's enough. I'm sorry, but we're taking her home today. Let's have a calm discussion again later. That day, my father-in-law apologized to me, and they left, consoling my crying and screaming unfaithful wife and my mother-in-law who was quietly crying. Hey, don't say sex to your parents. I don't know, I just felt like saying it. You told them off good. Hurry up and divorce that slat. Honey, you too. After my unfaithful wife and her parents left, my father reprimanded me for my words and actions. But my mother seemed even more excited and supported my behavior, and my father was astonished. Anyway, after my parents went home, I started seriously moving towards divorce by finding a lawyer. There isn't much evidence, but there's the video of them having sex that they left themselves. And I had also recorded my unfaithful wife's statements, so for now, the lawyer said we can divorce with my unfaithful wife being at fault. From there, I sent content-certified mail to my in-laws' house and the other man's workplace, since I don't know his home address. I hadn't received a response from my in-laws yet, but the company called an emergency meeting after receiving the documents. A hearing was held with me, the other man, the department head, and the executive director. Could you explain what this is about? For some reason, he holds a grudge against me, and after some underhanded maneuvering, he even sent documents like this to the company. His wife and I are just senior and junior colleagues, nothing more and nothing less. Is what he is saying true? Well, my wife said something similar at first too, but what do you think? Do you even have any proof in the first place? What? Proof that you and my wife were having sex. Proof that he was straddling my wife and thrusting his hips on top of the bed she and I share in our house. I'm telling you, there's no such thing. But there was a video, right? What? The video. You filmed it, right? Or did you forget about that? At my words, the other man's face turned pale. That's right, these two had completely forgotten about the existence of that video. They're too stupid for words. Even I thought it couldn't be possible, but I never imagined they would have completely forgotten. I borrowed a nearby computer and played the video in question. And what started playing was my unfaithful wife and the other man's porn-like sex scene introduction and porn-like verbal abuse with moans. By the way, on this day, I went home without working overtime. And in a little bit, I, the husband who went home without working overtime, will show up, but... Stop. The other man grabbed at me again. Right. That time, you grabbed me just like this, right? I'm sorry for throwing you out the front door while you were naked. Thinking you were a suspicious person. You. Sit down. The department head stopped the other man and made him sit down. The video continued playing, and the executive director and department head clearly witnessed the sex scene, the scene where I show up. And the other man grabbing me while completely naked. No matter how you look at it, this is an affair, but how do you plan to talk your way out of this? And based on what he said, it seems you were doing this during work hours. No, on this day, I was taking a paid day off. Then what about her? Don't tell me she was also taking a paid day off? Oh, by the way, according to the records, she took a half day off, and he was doing outside sales that day and went straight home. This matter requires a response from the company as well. You go home as is and wait there until you're contacted. As for him, what do you want to do? Should I arrange for you to take time off? Oh, I've left it to my lawyer, so while I may need to take some time in the future for divorce negotiations and such, I'm fine for now. Ah, I see. When I answered the executive director's considerate words with a bright smile, he seemed a bit put off. The next day, apparently the other man's parents contacted my lawyer, which was surprising. I thought, he's 27 and having an affair with a junior colleague's wife, and now he's getting his parents involved? I couldn't help but laugh. But in the end, I was called to the law office for a discussion. I promptly took a paid day off. I am terribly sorry for what my foolish son has done. According to what I heard from my son, he was drinking with your wife at your home and gave her the wrong idea. He did something to make her misunderstand. What? No, it wasn't a misunderstanding. Right? Should we watch that video again? The video of you straddling my wife on my bed, in my bedroom in my house, and while saying embarrassing things to verbally abuse her. Making my wife beg for it, sticking it in, and thrusting your hips. What? What? What do you mean? The other man's father apologized as soon as he came in, but what he said was a convenient story he heard from his son. And when I talked about the contents of the video, the other man's father showed his agitation and had a truly comical reaction. What, you were still lying about it even at this point? I don't want to talk about the details of you and my wife having sex like I did in the conference room again. No, you had sex with someone else's wife, and on top of that, you grabbed me, got locked out of the front door while naked. And even had the police called on you, and then you made a fool of yourself at the company, and now you're relying on your parents? That's messed up. Listen. Your son filmed himself having sex with my wife, and while verbally abusing her in an embarrassing way, he stuck it in and eagerly thrust his hips. And up until now, without any apology, he called his parents, lied to get you to defend him, and when asked about it, all he can say is no. What do you think about that? Is what he said true? Confronted with my words, the other man's father glared at him with a demonic look and questioned him. But the other man just hung his head and trembled without trying to answer. When I started to open my laptop, thinking this was going nowhere, the other man's father said, "Say something, you idiot." And started straddling the other man and beating his face to a pulp. The lawyer and I hurriedly stepped in to stop him, and the other man's mother was bawling. We somehow managed to calm them down and seated the sobbing other man and his mother. And his father, who looked like he was about to blow a blood vessel. From there, the other man didn't say a word, and I conveyed my demands for consolation money, moving expenses, and the cost of disposing of the furniture. We arranged it so that my unfaithful wife and the other man would discuss how to split the costs other than the consolation money. The other man's father's glare was effective, and the other man signed the invoice without any objection. Then, he was dragged away by his father. The next day, I went to work at the company as usual, but of course, neither the other man nor my unfaithful wife came to work. And yesterday, I received the consolation money and moving expenses, so I'm in the process of packing up and moving out of the house. My in-laws covered my unfaithful wife's share, and it seems the other man didn't have any savings either. So he was cut off by his parents and had to take out a loan to pay it all at once. I guess this concludes my divorce story for now. I'm going to focus on work while hoping I don't get any more requests for reconciliation. By the way, this whole situation has become quite the gossip within the company, and even if my unfaithful wife and the other man come back, I think they're going to have a really hard time. I'm also being treated as a sensitive topic right now, but the department head and others have invited me out for drinks. So I'm thinking of staying at this company for now. Good job. I feel bad, but it was fun. Rather than doing various flashy things, your calm psychological attacks were entertaining. If your unfaithful wife and the other man return, I think there will be more changes in their mental state. It's fine now since you're not seeing them face to face, but if by chance they come back like normal, I think it will be tough. 1 month later. Long time no see. I told the story of how I divorced my unfaithful wife by repeating sex, in front of her parents, my boss, and the other man's parents. But does anyone remember? I remember. Did something happen after all? It's nothing major, but my unfaithful wife sent me an email full of sweet words, and the other man got arrested by the police. So I came to report it. In the end, my unfaithful wife was given the cold shoulder at the company and had nowhere to belong, so she quit. She went back to her parents' house, and from there, she sent me a barrage of emails full of sweet words. I wonder how it ended up like this. It's because I'm weak-hearted, isn't it? I'm really sorry. Even though I knew you were the only one for me. For some reason, I looked at another man. But I've overcome that, and I finally realized from the bottom of my heart that you're my destined person. So from now on, I'll live only for you and die only for you. You also know that I'm the only one for you too, right? Let's be honest with each other. I'll always be waiting. I got a huge number of emails like this, so I contacted her parents and said, if she keeps contacting me, I'll consult my lawyer. Then, her angry father broke her phone, and I stopped receiving contact from her. Taking advantage of that, I changed my number and got a new phone contract, which was a real hassle. Then, through her mother's relatives' connections, she was sent to work at a factory in the countryside. She was put under surveillance there and had to work until she finished paying back the consolation money her father had covered for her. But it seems the relative she was entrusted to had quite a loose tongue, and because it was the countryside, everyone found out about her divorce due to infidelity. There, she was treated with near ostracism by the entire village, and it seems she tried to run away a few times. But because information spreads quickly in the countryside, she was caught right away. As for the other man, he was originally on the fast track to success, but this incident got him demoted. Just before his demotion, he held a grudge against me and tried to stab me with a ballpoint pen, but it backfired on him. And I reported him to the police, and he was taken away. In the end, it seems he got off with a stern warning for being naked at the front door, but of course trying to stab someone is not okay. So he got a criminal record. Naturally, he was fired from the company. It seems he was also sent to the countryside through his parents' connections, but I don't know what happened after that. Anyway, it doesn't seem like I'll ever have to deal with my unfaithful wife or the other man she cheated with again, so I'm going to end it here. Good job, seriously. I'm praying you won't have to come back here again. Good work. Well, I'd say that's an appropriate end for them. This time, it was the story of a protagonist who cornered his unfaithful wife and the other man she cheated with by repeating sex.